After my first Nickelodeon video and seeing all of the support on it, I knew I wanted to talk about them again, and there is definitely no shortage of things to talk about. Nickelodeon has a wide variety of lost media, and with some recent developments, I felt like now would be a perfect time to talk about them again. So today, I'm covering 22 more lost pieces of Nickelodeon media. Back in 1999, Kablam had a Halloween block, 101% Spooky Whiz Bang with Henry and June, that aired between September 18th to November 1st, 1999, with the main characters of Kablam as the host, and Mark Merrick, the man responsible for creating Henry and June, handling the animation. While I was researching this video, there doesn't seem to be a lot of information about the block, so I'm not exactly sure how many segments there are, but most seem to be lost. In 2012, the VHS Kid 76 uploaded some segments showing Henry and June at a basketball game, and another YouTuber, MovieMan95, uploaded a collection of bumpers showing them at a barn dance. While most segments seem to be lost, we do have some stills and video footage to remember it by, and I hope that the other segments get found. I've personally never seen Kablam, and it's interesting to me that this is just one piece of lost media connected to it, even though the other piece, episode 29, was confirmed to be fake. The Lost Media Wiki also has a list of the known lost shorts, so if you are curious or maybe you want to start a search, check their article out. Nickelflix was one of the first original programs Nickelodeon ever released back in 1979. It ended in the same year, which gave it the not-so-great honor of being the first piece of Nickelodeon programming to not make it till 1980, in their first cancelled show. It had a unique premise, it being a package show. Nickelflix would air older material from other shows along with segments in between them that featured slapstick comedy and suspense. The people involved with the show described it as having no sugarcoating. An executive producer also said, "Any violence is either less intense than that found on commercial television or is clearly intended as comedy." Nickelflix also featured many artists in their show like Bela Lugosi, but the most known aspect seems to be the host, John Moshida Jr., who is now known for rapid speaking in various commercials. When Moshida was asked why the show was cancelled, he said that Nickelodeon wanted to be kid-friendly and that Nickelflix was deemed too violent for the network. As far as I know, there has been no home media release for any episodes, and the crew seems to have no clue what happened to the master tapes. I think this sounded like a really cool idea for a show, and it's really a shame it never got a chance to take off. But I'm also not sure if we'll ever be able to find any pieces of it, since Nickelodeon seems like they want it to be forgotten about. Launchbox was an educational program by Nickelodeon in collaboration with NASA that ran until 1994. It was part of the Cable in the Classroom program where teachers were encouraged to show episodes to students, and with no surprise, the show was about space and space travel. It's unknown how many episodes were made, but we know of at least 9 and one episode that can be found online. A DVD featuring episodes also showed up on iOffer, but there was no info about it since the listing was taken down. Nickelodeon Wildlife Rescue is a series of flash games released in the mid to late 2000s. You would play as a ranger tasked with rescuing sick or vulnerable wild animals and taking care of them. There are 3 games in the series: the Wild Thornberrys Africa Wildlife Rescue, which was inspired by the cartoon, Rugrats Go Wild Wildlife Rescue, which came out after the crossover film in 2003, and the Wild Thornberrys Australian Wildlife Rescue, which was purchasable from Big Fish as recently as 2019 but is now unavailable. The first 2 games, as of when I'm releasing this video, are lost and unplayable due to Nick taking them down in 2011, but rips of the 3rd game can be found. All we have of the first 2 are some stills, but no gameplay footage. One weird thing though, there is an archived version of African Wildlife Rescue, but it's unplayable. I had no idea these games existed until looking for things to cover for this video, but I really love the Wild Thornberrys, like the movie, a lot of memories attached. And I really hope that they can find these games, because I know that if I had found these when I was a kid, I would have loved them. Like, no joke. Now, this one is one I've wanted to talk for a while, and that's Brain Surge, one of my favorite game shows like ever. Brain Surge was a game show on Nickelodeon from 2009 for 3 seasons until its cancellation in 2011. The show had Jeff Sutphin as the host. The 6 contestants on each episode of Brain Surge were known as Brainiacs, solving puzzles with different point values. 4 players would end up moving on to level 2, while the others would be sent down the brain drain. Level 2 had the players answer questions from the host Jeff's big book of super fantastic true chronicles of truth that are absolutely true. Wrong answers would lead people to get eliminated and be sent down the brain drain, so once it came down to 2 contestants left, they would go into a sudden death round trying to match images from the story Jeff told. The 1 contestant left would move on to level 3, and this is the part I remember most. Whoever was left would tackle a memorization game of sorts, completing 3 paths on a grid that increased in size from 4x4 to 6x6. If I'm doing a horrible job of explaining how this show worked, I really do apologize. So I will have some footage that can better show off what I mean. Anyways, if the players succeeded, they would get all 3 prizes from throughout the game and would be slimed, or if they ran out of time, they would get sent down the brain drain. Throughout the 3 seasons, many changes seemed to occur. One of the bigger changes was in the 3rd season when it became Family Brain Surge and 5 teams of 2 would compete instead of the previous 6 contestants. Brain Surge was unfortunately cancelled in 2011 due to Sutphin hosting another Nickelodeon show, Figure It Out, in 2012. But the final 10 episodes did air in 2014 on Nick at Night, and reruns continued until about June of 2015. Out of 120 episodes, 97 are accounted for in full. There were also rumors of a pilot, but I won't dive too far into that. But if you want me to cover Brain Surge in like my first single topic video, just let me know, I would love to. Strangely, the show wasn't released on Paramount Plus or any home media release, but it seems that there have been some legal issues preventing any reruns or releases of Brain Surge. There has been an amazing effort to recover the lost episodes, which has been detailed on the Lost Media Wiki. There's also a Brain Surge ride at the Mall of America, and I remember that ride pretty well. Morph Sports is a lost pilot for a game show created by Nickelodeon at their Orlando studio sometime in 1995 or 1996. It was hosted by David Sidoni, who's also connected to Bing, The Sound of Something New, another piece of lost media. It's unknown why the show was never greenlit, but it could have been something good. Who the heck knows? Anyways, the only known footage of Morph Sports is in a compilation by former Nickelodeon Studios crew members in 2000, but we only have 5 seconds of it and no audio. It's not even known if Nickelodeon still has the pilot. Just a fair warning, this compilation video from Nickelodeon Studios, Florida, will probably come up quite a few times, so just bear with me. While The Proud Family is Disney Channel's first animated show, it started as a 1998 pitch pilot for Nickelodeon. The show we know, created by Bruce W. Smith, spans 3 seasons from 2001 to 2005. Back in 1998, though, it was planned to be released within the next year when Nickelodeon passed on it during production, and then Disney immediately greenlit the show and had it come out in 2001 with big success, and would go on to win many awards and a reboot for Disney+. The pilot had many differences from the release show though, like Dijonay's name was Dylan Quetta, hairstyles being different, everyone's eyes being different, and other appearance changes. It's thought that the premise of the pilot is similar to the episode Rumors. As of when this video is uploaded, we only have some short clips that were featured in promos sometime in the early 2000s. But we do know that it's real, since Bruce W. Smith confirmed it existed on Twitter on April 24th, 2016. The Backyardigans is a very well-known animated Nick Jr. show that came out in 2004 and is literally no stranger at all to the lost media community. But the concept of the show goes all the way back to the late 90s. An animated pitch for the show was made in 2002 by the show's creator, Janice Burgess, based on the rejected live-action pilot Me and My Friends, which I talked about in my other Nickelodeon video. The animated one, though, was made by Nick Digital in New York using motion capture. But there seemed to be a huge disconnect between the dancers' movements and the character models, and things ended up looking strange. So they ended up having to fix movements manually, which I know must have taken a lot of time. It's thought that the pilot was an earlier version of the Season 1 episode The Heart of the Jungle. So far, we only have a few seconds of footage and some screenshots to know the pilot existed. Nick Tropolis was an MMORPG created for Nickelodeon's website in 2007, meant to be a kid-friendly space to chat and play mini-games. You would create an avatar and walk around and meet people in Nickelodeon-themed spaces, and you could decorate your own room. When playing the mini-games, you would earn Nick points, using their in-game currency to buy special items or things for your avatar. In 2010, though, Tropolis rebranded to The Club, which introduced new assets. The club closed down in 2013, and all assets seemed to be removed in 2016 when Nickelodeon no longer let people join as a user on their website. In recent years, some assets have surfaced, but one of the game's producers, Alex Westerman, said they weren't allowed to upload them due to their contract with Viacom. A scratch version was also made by someone called Nicky Nouse with some of the original assets, but most people seem to say that it isn't close to the original game. As I said previously, the compilation video from Nickelodeon Studios Florida in 2000 has offered up many pieces of lost media, like Morph Sports, but now let's talk Slime Survivor. Slime Survivor seems to have a little bit more information about it, but I can't confirm whether it's true, so take it with a grain of salt. Anyways, the pilot was taped in April of 2000, and one Reddit user claimed to have been there touring the studio on the day it was taped. They detailed that 100 kids would run around pulling ropes, 50 would continue on, and 50 were eliminated. And after that, they would have various challenges and trivia segments until there was only one kid left. Similar to Morph Sports, we only have about 5 seconds of footage with no audio. Only one crew member is known to have worked on the project, Ben Price, who worked as a character designer. It's currently not known if anyone at Nickelodeon has Slime Survivor, or if Ben Price has it. No One Knows Best is an obscure sitcom from Nickelodeon that premiered on October 1st, 2000, and it's probably one of their shortest shows. They only aired 8 episodes in English before its cancellation on January 6, 2001, 3 months after premiering. This left 5 episodes unaired. It's also thought that low ratings were the reason for its ending. Philip Van Dyke starred as Noah Besnick, and the show revolved around daily life in New York City living in an apartment with his family. Viewers compared No One Knows Best to Clarissa Explains It All, but the main consensus seemed to be that the show was boring. Reruns of No One Knows Best aired on a late-night login block, The N, from 2002 to 2003, and the show never saw a home media release of any kind. It seems that the show went mostly forgotten until someone found all 13 episodes in Russian and uploaded them to Dailymotion. As far as the English episodes, we only have a majority of about 2 episodes and a small part of episode 5. It's kind of sad that it was really forgotten. While most people seem to dislike the show, that doesn't mean it shouldn't be forgotten about. In 2003, Noggin had Scribble Vision, which was described as an animated online coloring book of sorts developed by Funny Garbage. The game disappeared, though, when Noggin and Nick Jr. merged and all of the original Noggin games were removed. At the time, Scribble Vision had 13 different boards a user could color that featured Noggin characters like Ubi and Moose and Z. The game even went on to win an award, first place for brand image and positioning at the 21st Annual Mark Awards. While the game was unplayable for a while, Blue Maxpa's Flashpoint brought it back, albeit with some missing files. Downward Doghouse was an animated interstitial series for Nick Jr. Presents My World, set as a precursor of sorts for Ni Hao Kai Lan. Most details between the two are the same, but some character designs are different, the biggest one being Ho-Ho chalked in gibberish. 3 episodes of the series are known, but 2, Dragon Dance and Follow That Slipper, have been found. There are multiple stills of the show and some storyboards showing the character differences. And I'm going to assume that this Dajashi person is an LMW user, but other than that, they were able to find a link to the My World section of the Nick Jr. website with the web archive. None of the video files worked, but episode names and even an e-card maker were found. A British dub was also discovered, yet only the episode Dragon Dance has been accounted for. Other than that, there's really not much else known about Downward Doghouse. But I don't know about y'all, but when I look at these character stills for this show, it's really kind of unsettling. I don't know what to think. Double Dare is a pretty well-known game show that ran from 1986 to 1993 and had short stints in 2000 and 2018 to 2019. The premise had kids go through obstacle courses in order to win money or other prizes, with Mark Summers hosting every episode. The show had a lot of success and is loved by many, but out of the original 482 episodes, 100 of them are considered lost. Only 1 episode is missing from the first season, Extraordinaires vs. Challengers, but a 5-minute clip can be found on YouTube. uploaded by Josh Lieberman in 2011. Jason Farrell, Dion's brother, Dion being on the Extraordinaires team, said that he has the full episode, but it seems like he hasn't uploaded it yet, or maybe he isn't able to. But he revealed that his brother had lost the obstacle course. However, things are quite different when it comes to the super sloppy Double Dare season in 1987. Only 23 of the 40 episodes from that season are available, and the most famous of the lost episodes is Man in the Boat, where Mark loses his composure over a plastic man inside of a boat for some reason. This moment can be seen on a compilation video from a 1998 Kids Classic tape, but the whole episode is considered lost, even though one person claimed to have the full thing, but we've heard this many times before. Someone will say they have some desired piece of lost media and then never follow through, or they completely fake it in order to troll a bunch of children. So, I totally understand if legal reasons prevent something, but faking lost media, never fun. How about we don't do that? But let's get back to Double Dare. There were rumors that the masters for the 1987 season were destroyed in a flood, but there doesn't seem to be any evidence of that. One of the most infamous lost segments from the show is a story of one unaired episode showing a contestant lying about his brittle bone disease and breaking his arm. Mark detailed how the fracture was so bad, the bone went through his skin and that he had to leave the set, which I definitely do not want to imagine, and I'm sorry if any of y'all have that image in your head. This isn't the first accident to happen on Double Dare, and it would take a long time to talk about everything that has happened. Fortunately though, a lot of episodes of Double Dare can be watched on Paramount+, but I hope that the episodes that are lost can be found someday. On Symbiosis.com, you can see a resume for someone named Diane, who has had quite a variety of positions. One entry said, humongous. Nickelodeon Studios' Florida fantasy game show, pilot set in a world of lost toys with an Oz-like character as a mediator, leading kids through physical and intellectual challenges. Responsibilities included designing environmental scents and stunt obstacles, developing drawings and maquettes, supervising production staff, managing budget and schedule. That was it. No footage, no images, nothing. Digging through Google came up empty, but according to that one piece of Diane's resume, it exists. As sad as it is, this series is probably one of the most mysterious entries on this list, and is completely lost. And I'm kind of doubting that there's even any interest to find it. But if anyone is feeling ambitious and wants to tackle this, mad respect. One of my favorite parts of Nickelodeon was the constantly changing bumpers, and a lot of them are very memorable. But a lot of that material has also become lost. A full list can be found online to help any of your potential searches, and the loss compared to the found content is pretty equal. Lost Nick bumpers span from Mr. Wizard's World to the Paul Robertson Game Shakers ad from 2016. While these bumpers are probably pretty low on Nickelodeon's priority list, it helps to have a lot of fans who remember them fondly. One of my favorites is the doo-wop dinosaurs, or the 8-bit bumpers. Hocus Pocus was one of the first programs on the release of Nickelodeon in 1979, yet it only lasted for a year. Brad Williams starred as the medieval Crispin Quester, a wizard sent on a treacherous quest by his headmaster to modern day. Crispin worked in the film department of some museum where the audience could see animated and live-action films. He even had a pet, Owlac, and 3 friends, Jim Jenkinson's Professor Rhombus, Daisy, and a talking book. At the time of its release, most people didn't have cable TV or VCRs, so recordings of Hocus Pocus were lost to time. Until 2012, when YouTube user Gary W48 uploaded the beginning and end credits. He had worked for Nickelodeon back in 1980 to 1981, close to when the show ended. After that, a promo reel was found on Facebook of all places, thanks to Slimed, an oral history of Nickelodeon's golden age, who had gotten master tapes donated to them by Bob Klein, who had helped launch Nickelodeon. It's sad that we have so little of this show, since it had a lot of connections to Pinwheel, the first Nickelodeon program since its testing days back in 1977. While anyone can find the crew and some of the cast online, there just isn't a lot known about Hocus Pocus. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest either, which is really sad. Super Nick, or SNICK, not to be confused with the Saturday night American programming block on Nickelodeon, is a game show by Nick set for Dutch audiences in the Netherlands from 2007 to 2011. Now, I'll most likely butcher these names, but the hosts were Patrick Martens, Loic Biernick, Martin Boseman, Iris Hesseling, Vivian van den Assem, and Terrence Schurz. On Super Nick, 2 teams would fight to get to the final quiz and the prize of getting slimed by De Slimetroon. Every episode would feature a Dutch celebrity along with prizes for the winners. I couldn't find an episode list anywhere online, but we do know that the first episode premiered on March 7th, 2007, and the last on June 18th, 2011. Episodes could be watched on the Dutch Nickelodeon website, but they became lost after 2012 for unknown reasons. Clips of the show can be found online, but full episodes are lost. Camp Nick is another lost game show pilot from that famous Nickelodeon Studios Florida compilation video, but I promise this is the last time I'm going to talk about it. We only have a couple of seconds of footage to even know it existed, and not much else is known about it. Because of the studio's closure in 2005, I'm not even sure if Nickelodeon has anything from these, but maybe they're hidden deep in some archive, maybe they're hidden at the studio somewhere, I don't know. I am not condoning people to break into a movie studio that is now taken over by the Blue Man Group, okay? Please don't break into places to try and find things. I do not condone breaking the law. Just don't, please? Please. Thank you. In 1988, Nick Jr. was released to wide audiences, and it wasn't until a rebrand in 1994 that we met Face, a half-unsettling, half-charming mascot. Face was voiced by Chris Phillips, and they would talk in between shows to announce what's coming up, along with other unique segments. In the early 2000s, Face got a rebrand himself, him getting eyebrows, a bigger mouth, and a new voice, thanks to Jody Nazaro and Jun Mizumichi. This really didn't sit well with audiences, and I can understand why. I find the new Face a lot more unsettling than the old one. But the criticism led Nick to cancel the Face interstitials, and he was replaced by Piper the Possum. Super Y is a well-known educational children's program from PBS, but a pitch pilot was given to Nickelodeon before PBS got their hands on it. I'm sure most of us know the premise of Super Y, but I'll summarize it anyway. The show has a group of children who use storybooks to solve different problems. It started as a puppet show, but then fell into development hell, but a stop-motion version of the show was pitched to Nickelodeon by Angela Santamero and Cup of Coffee Productions from Toronto, Canada sometime in 1999. According to the director, it was greenlit, but then Nick Jr. passed on it to air Oswald instead. One of the few things we do have of this lost pilot is the working title, Super Y. On February 19th, 2021, an unused theme song was found by Stephen Laurent in Scramble Fan 2021, but the audio was oddly distorted and not at all like the theme song we know today, but a normal version can be heard on Nick Balaban's website. Footage was available at one point on Cup of Coffee's website, but I'm assuming not many people knew about it, and they're since lost. The biggest find was the audio for the pilot, found in a library by YouTube user PDog64, who uploaded it for everyone on August 2nd, 2021. I know this piece is very controversial in the lost media sphere, so let me know your thoughts about it down below. I've never seen it, so I don't have much of an opinion. Let's talk blueprints. Set up as the predecessor for Blue's Clues, it's an unaired pilot from either 1994 or 1995 by Angela Santamero, who I mentioned in the previous entry, and Dave Palmer, the co-designer of Blue. The show we know today spent many years in development. Blue was originally going to be a cat named Mr. Orange, but I don't think there's any footage showing Mr. Orange. After the pilot was complete, they tested it with some preschoolers who loved it. Changes were made after that, like Mr. Salt's Brooklyn accent being changed to a French one, and Steve changing into the famous green striped shirt. The Blue's Clues wiki states that the pilot is close to the episode Snack Time, but that wasn't able to be confirmed until later. Blueprints fell into obscurity until 2006, when the 10-year anniversary of Blue's Clues, and we got a couple of clips and some history. This set people into a frenzy to find the pilot, but Nickelodeon said they didn't want to release it, saying it was too different from the rest of the series. On October 16th, 2020, the Nick Jr. Twitter posted a still from the pilot we hadn't seen before, showing a previous design of Blue, and also confirmed that Nick still had the pilot. Little bits would continue to come out after that, like Angela saying that she had it as well. The most recent development was on September 10th, 2021, just 13 days after I'm recording this audio. We got more clips for the show's 25th anniversary, which was a really nice surprise, along with that clip of Steve saying he had never forgot us. That clip made me pretty emotional. I loved Blue's Clues. The clip seemed to prove the wiki's claim that the pilot was similar to the episode Snack Time, along with other small changes. So, there are 22 more lost pieces of Nickelodeon media. I knew I had to talk about them again when I saw the Blueprints clips on Twitter. I loved Blue's Clues, and I used to be able to do a decent Blue impression. I have also watched quite a few of Pop Arena's Knick-Knack videos while working on this, so I highly recommend checking him out. Anyways, thank you all for the constant support and love on my videos. I really want to know what you guys think, and definitely let me know what you want me to cover next. Or if you want me to try my hand at a single topic, please let me know. Leave a like and subscribe, but only if you want to. But I'll leave it here so I don't go off on some other tangent, maybe loosely relating to Nickelodeon. So, I hope you all have a fantastic day.